Taylor Swift has facial recognition software at her concerts that cross-references a database of her known stalkers. The singer Bjork had such a creepy stalker that people on Reddit will tell people not to look up his picture if they don't want to have nightmares. The late-night TV host David Letterman felt bad enough for his schizophrenic stalker that he didn't mention her name on air even as he joked about her influence on his life. And there are so many more cases like this. These are the stories of a few more fans who have gone too far with the celebrities they love. Hi friends, I'm Katie, and this is Katie Does Crime. Thank you for joining me for the first time if you're new here. I'm a Midwesterner who now lives in New York City, putting my writing degree to use by researching true crime cases that interest me, and hopefully you. And hello to the usual rapscallions and reprobates. Please consider subscribing or joining me on Patreon if you'd like to hear more true crime stories. After I finished the available Scamanda episodes on Hulu the other night, I needed more scams in my life, and Hulu came to my rescue with Fanatical, the catfishing of Tegan and Sarah. The band Tegan and Sarah was very important to me in my formative emo girl with no boyfriend years. But they're not even that famous, so it's pretty interesting that there was this whole catfishing scheme around them. And it made me think about what kinds of things like this are happening to other celebrities out there. I never watched iCarly, but the star, Miranda Cosgrove, apparently had a stalker find her home, pace around in her backyard for a few hours, and shoot at a woman driving by who looked like Miranda. Then he lit himself on fire in her front lawn before taking his own life. She was luckily off seeing a movie at that time. She now says Pitch Perfect 3 saved her life, and in a way, it's great that she's able to joke about her situation, much like the person in our first case. I'm guessing that anyone who knows anything about the Beatles knows that John Lennon was shot by a former fan outside of his apartment near Central Park in New York City. The guy, Mark David Chapman, felt like John had become a little too big for his britches with his comment in the Evening Standard in 1966 that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus right now. But even as a person who considers herself a fan of the band, I didn't know that guitarist George Harrison had been stabbed. And I definitely didn't know that he had been stabbed dozens of times. In December 1999, the day before New Year's Eve, George's wife Olivia heard glass smash on the lower level of their house in Oxfordshire while they were sleeping. George put on a jacket and boots over his pajamas, went to investigate, and found a stranger downstairs. The man had a kitchen knife in one hand, and in the other hand he had a stone sword taken from a statue in George's own garden. A statue of the legendary Saint George slaying the dragon. I have no idea how big this sword was, and I'm not sure if it's more ridiculous if it was really big or really small. The man rushed the stairs, and George tried to grab the knife from him, but in the process they fell over together. Unfortunately for George, the man landed on top of him and was able to stab him over and over and over again. But Olivia came to his rescue, thrashing the man with a brass fire poker and then a lamp. The man was 35-year-old Michael Abram from Liverpool, and like the man who killed John Lennon, he was a fan whose obsession had turned into something scary. With a punctured lung and countless wounds, George issued a statement saying he wasn't a burglar and certainly wasn't auditioning for the Traveling Wilburys. No, he wasn't trying to join George's supergroup, but Abram did think that different bands like the Beatles and Oasis were specifically talking to him with their music. He was diagnosed as schizophrenic but wasn't being treated for it. He later said, "I had a serious mental illness, but nobody listened. Everybody thought they knew me, but nobody listened." Abram was hospitalized 6 weeks before he came for George, but was accidentally dismissed without any medication because doctors didn't know his medical history. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity and had to stay in a psychiatric facility for 3 whole years before being released. Abram has since said, "If I could turn back the clock, I would give anything not to have done what I did in attacking George Harrison. But looking back on it now, I have come to understand that I was at the time not in control of my actions. I can only hope that the Harrison family might somehow find it in their hearts to accept my apologies." I'm not sure about George's family, but many fans certainly think the attack shortened Harrison's life. He had been battling cancer since 1997, probably from his smoking, and died in 2001. Some people think that the stress or the inflammation or any number of issues related to the stabbing might have worsened things. In June 2016, rising star Christina Grimmie was doing a meet and greet with fans when she was murdered. The 22-year-old had finished third on the TV singing competition The Voice after being mentored by Maroon 5 singer Adam Levine. Usher called her a baby Celine Dion because of her range and register. And she had an inspirational story. She did it all for her mom, who was fighting breast cancer. But even before competing, the New Jersey native had released her own EP and gained over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. In 2011, she got second in the My YouTube singing competition, only behind Selena Gomez. Selena's mom actually became her manager. Ellen DeGeneres called Christina the queen of YouTube because the 200 million views on one of her videos made her the most watched unsigned artist on the site at the time. And after recording her second EP, she even got an acting role in a movie called The Matchbreaker. So yeah, things were going well for her, and she had a loyal and loving following. One fan said, "What I liked about her most was she didn't just treat her fans like fans, she treated them like friends or like family members, even without knowing them." So while on tour opening for another band, she stuck around the merch table after the show in Orlando, Florida, to sign autographs and take selfies. At 10:30 p.m. on June 10, 2016, a 27-year-old approached her when it was his turn and opened fire. Christina was hit once in the head and 3 times in the torso. Her brother tackled the man, who also had a hunting knife on him, and the man used his gun to take his own life. Authorities said Kevin James Loibl had traveled from his home in St. Petersburg for the sole purpose of killing Christina. A local front desk manager said he had arrived without any luggage at the hotel. He stood at the back of the concert venue with his arms crossed. Loibl's family said that while he hadn't been diagnosed with a mental illness, he lived like a hermit in a bedroom with aluminum foil covering the windows. He only left the house to go to his part-time job at Best Buy, and he often wore earplugs because of his aversion to loud noises. He was wearing those same earplugs when he shot Christina. His only run-in with the police was in 2014 when he and his dad's girlfriend had a fight, but neither of them was arrested. His dad and brothers said he spent a lot of time locked in his room on his computer, but they weren't aware of his obsession with Christina. His best friend, on the other hand, well, actually his only friend, on the other hand, said Loibl had been fixated on Christina for 6 months or even a year and watched everything about her online. The friend said that if he wasn't watching her on YouTube, Loibl was checking up on her on social media. And there's a rumor that he became incensed when he saw photos of her with anyone else, even if it was her manager or someone she was collaborating with. Loibl had lost weight, gotten LASIK, had his teeth whitened, and gotten hair implants in the hope of looking better for Christina. His friend became worried that the infatuation wasn't healthy when Loibl said Christina's belief in God had somehow changed him. When he called Christina his soulmate, his friend told him it wasn't really rational to think about them being together, and Loibl would get defensive and mad. But the friend didn't know that Loibl had bought any guns. Coworkers said they saw Loibl watching videos of Christina in the back of the store, but never noticed any psychological changes in him. They just teased him about his internet crush. At Christina's funeral, her brother said, "All the rumors are true that when the gunman came, her arms were open. That's how she treated everyone she knew. Her arms were open for them." Today, the Christina Grimmie Foundation supports families impacted by gun violence. Our last story today is about Sarah M., a fangirl who collected thousands of selfies of celebrities dating back to when she was 12 years old. She left public school in 4th grade when a kindergartner brought a gun to class, and apparently she had an agreement with her dad that if she got straight A's at home, he would take her to meet the actors and singers she loved. She kept an album of photos at first, which she'd pull out when she met celebrities to show them the other celebrities she'd met. Then she started a Flickr account just to show off her pictures to her family. But she realized that strangers were looking too. In just one day, her account got 1 million hits. So she moved on to Twitter, where she amassed enough of a following that people started talking to her as if she was a celebrity. And that always comes with people who love you and people who hate you. The people who hated her called her Stalker Sarah. But the people who loved her were amazed by the photos she took with Justin Bieber and Brad Pitt and Kim Kardashian and Zac Efron and Miley Cyrus, and the list goes on. She partly made it seem like it was all so casual for her, saying that if the paparazzi were swarming the stars, she'd just hang back and watch. She wouldn't bother them. But then you hear how she's made some of her chance meetings happen, figuring out when Harry Styles would need to leave one location in order to make it to his next show, what the time difference was, how much time he would need to sleep. She said she wouldn't bother someone walking their dogs or taking care of their kids, but Greg Grunberg in the parking lot of the hardware store, sitting in the dark in her dad's car waiting for Lindsay Lohan to finish dinner, no problem. She detailed the hours she had to camp out and freeze and try to avoid bodyguards to get her selfie. But she also said that the stars would often approach her, knowing she'd write nice things about them in her captions. And I mean, she actually did date Angus T. Jones, the kid from 2.5 Men. She met Justin Bieber over 100 times, and he'd kiss her cheek and tell her she was really growing up. At the age of 17, she was calling Miley Cyrus a legitimate friend. She has her own fans, and Miley supposedly told her once that people felt like they were touching Justin or One Direction when they touched her. But you have to wonder, are these people just being nice? Because Sarah definitely knows where you live, and who knows what she's capable of. Someone started a Tumblr account just for memes about celebrities being scared of her. And singer Demi Lovato was one of the few to maybe express her true feelings. Sarah posted a photo with Lovato's sister that said, "Having a blast at Dallas Lovato Me's showcase with my girl @DD Lovato. So proud of my babes." And Demi's official Instagram account left a comment saying things like, "I'm not your girl. If I was, you would not be asking for pictures. You stalk people for a living. We are not friends. Get a job. This is my 14-year-old baby sister. She's not your babe." The comments were later deleted, and some people say Lovato's account was hacked or the screenshots were forged. Sarah certainly says it was a hack, and Lovato's account said that it certainly wasn't. It's not so hard for me to believe that one celebrity had enough after years of Sarah asking her for photos. Sarah responded by posting screenshots of a supposed message exchange with Demi's sister, where Dallas apologized and said she was sorry, disgusted, and embarrassed about what was going on. Whatever happened, Sarah certainly has not taken it to heart. She still posts on social media under the name Stalker Sarah. On her website, she says it's a badge of honor, a symbol of empowerment, and the ultimate love letter to pop culture. And to her credit, Vice wrote that this sort of hyper-enthusiastic superfan can be useful to celebrities because she only posts positive things about them and shows them as regular people you can just run into on the street. You know, if you're willing to wait in the cold for hours in the hope of someday being famous enough yourself to get a mushroom coffee sponsorship. When I hear about people, breaking into Brad Pitt's home and wearing his clothes for 10 hours, it makes me think of that quote that's attributed to actor Bill Murray. I always want to say to people who want to be rich and famous, try being rich first. As always, please let me know what you think about these cases in the comments. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm just a true crime fan like you are, and I really appreciate you taking a chance on me. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you like spending this time together. I would be so appreciative. Until next time, I'm Katie, and this has been Katie Does Crime.